Well, we're still trying to get live. Oh, I think there's a notification. We're live. Let me see if I get my notification. And we're doing it again. The same intro. We got to stop this. But honestly, it's something we got to check. We have to make sure that we're broadcasting. If not, it would not be a live show. I'd have to take that little live blinking flashy thing off the logo down.
Maybe we just have to sharpen our craft and how we talk about it. Maybe that's the pitch. People probably like, these gomers. I'm gonna wait 10 minutes just so they get through yapping. That way I don't have to listen to that.
That's actually interesting you say that for folks that are just tuning in and have never seen the show before. That's actually, if I don't say that buzzword 40 million times, that is why we do some of the rambling for 8 to 10 minutes and do the countdown. It's so people get their notifications, have time to go, oh, what are these yahoos talking about? Maybe click over on the show. It just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, a little bit of time. So, hey, why don't we just get this beginning intro right out of the gate, get it out of the way so people ain't got to listen to us yap. Yep, Greg Bell, best part of the show, yapping.
Yapping. All right, well, I'll go ahead and hit the countdown right out of the gate. I do have a shorter countdown, but I don't have it quite ready yet, so I'm trying to reduce that time. But anyway, here we go. I'm rambling again. Let me just hit the down button, and we'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. Folks, y'all run and grab your popcorn now, grab your stiff drink, tag some friends. We're going to show you a little bit of the inside baseball on the term limits petitions tonight, of all things, and get some insight from one of the founders of the Term Limits Coalition, my partner in crime, Mr. Duke Lowry.
There you go. Let's do it.
Hitting the button, folks. We'll be right back.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
And aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now. Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist, and it cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way. It was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't going to jump off in there with Chris. He ain't going to do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to the border. It's actually going to Mexico in buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing. Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal. Through conscious shocking actions. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the Earl Coleman and associated groups and all that, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button, does that mean that people are like seeing us sitting here talking, chatting?
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And we are back.
I was just reviewing some old stuff. I mean, some really old stuff, and I'm dropping these links in the notes here. And maybe when the end of the show, when we talk about next week and what's going to be happening next week, this will be a walk down memory lane. Some people will be like, "Holy crap, didn't know that."
Okay, well, we have had an inordinate amount of content, over 215 plus episodes between this and Louisiana Watch and all that. And, I started going back through and doing the summaries of the shows, and I've done 15 or 20 of them that we've got posted with each show. So you can go back and get a summary as well as the entire transcript. But that takes time. It's a lot of stuff.
Well, this all predates Bossier Watch. I mean, now you and I were active and doing our thing, but this predates Bossier Watch. This goes back to 2012.
Ooh, that should be interesting.
This goes back a ways, and I'd forgotten I had all of these, but there's one in particular that's going to be of importance, and I don't know. I don't think we've ever showed this before, but end of the show we'll show it.
Yeah, it could be interesting. All right, what are we going to lead off with? Oh, we need to give a little credit here to our good friend Lisa Johnson, even though she hasn't still formally agreed to go bungee jumping with us. And, that's all up in the air because who knows who's going to control this stupid linear bridge anyway. So, but she did get a little kudos.
Bossier City bought it. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
They're buying it. So
that's what the rumor was. Of course, they said otherwise at the last meeting, but we'll see.
That's why we need term limits, is so because those guys ain't gonna let us bungee jump.
You're right there. Well, we'll have to do it a little incognito, but I want to go ahead and share this out real quick because sometimes we don't make fun of Lisa because we really like Lisa Johnson. At least I do, and I think you do as well, Duke. But sometimes, we've got this rule about calling pretty much everybody out if it has to do with politics, and sometimes that means even she is the target. But look at this from Biz Magazine, like a boss. And she's even got a quote in there from your favorite person, MJ.
It's funny you're bringing MJ up tonight because I've got a cut in the notes about MJ. This is like
better get that right. Yeah, how weird is that? Imagine that.
It's like a bad episode of Poltergeist or something. I don't know. Anyway, so what were we talking about here? Lisa Johnson, like a boss.
Yeah, well, apparently, hold on a second. Let me make sure that I mute this deal.
What happened to Mike Johnson? He looks funny.
Oh, there's his voice cutting in. Well, that must be a much younger picture of him. That's like an old picture of him. Hold on, let me zoom in on this a little bit here. Yeah, that's a much younger. He doesn't have near the gray hair that he has now.
Yeah, my goodness, that picture is holy crap. He's all gray and stuff, and that right there, I don't know. I guess he could have got some Grecian, whatever that stuff is.
Could be, but hey, to Lisa's credit, she's got a quote in there from the Speaker of the House, and Look at this. The reason my good friend Lisa Johnson has remained at the helm so much longer than other chamber presidents around the country is because she is thinking about bungee jumping with Rex and Duke. I can't believe Mike actually said that.
I can't either. I mean, and yeah, maybe he's trying to nudge her. Maybe he wants to jump as well too.
Our good friend
Oh,
Ryan Haygood says Lisa is a badass and one of the good ones. She has her good moments. There is no doubt about that.
well, Ryan, I didn't know that her and Mike were so tight. Maybe you could expand on that and tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, I mean, they got the quote from Mike in there. But anyway, so kudos to Lisa for 2 decades of dedication and transformation at the Bossier Chamber.
Congratulations, Lisa.
Yeah.
We
So,
we expect you to be third in line behind us to bungee jump. Dadgummit.
yeah, and you know, this to me just seems like a deal where I don't know, is she ramping up to actually run for mayor? Is she going to give
You
Tommy
know,
some competition? I mean, Lord knows we need some competition in the mayor's race.
I don't know on that one. There's so many things I could say, but I mean, I think that if she did run, I think she could probably be competitive. I do. You
Well,
know, I
let's hear from folks in the comments. Who you going to vote for? Lisa Johnson or Tommy Chandler in the upcoming mayoral race? Pick one or the other. No in-betweens. Pick Lisa or Tommy. Which one? Let us know in the comments.
yeah, there's not going to be a lot of comments on that one. But while we're talking about it, interestingly, hey, Lisa was not even considered in the poll that was ran this past week regarding that race and term limits, of course.
Wait, there was a poll. I didn't get this poll. Who did they poll?
Well, I didn't get it either, but I don't live in the city, so I don't think I would have gotten it. But as the story goes, this was basically the context of the poll. The
Really?
poll was, if you were voting for mayor today, who would you vote for?
Hmm.
Tommy Chandler, Chris Smith, Jeff Free, or, drum roll please,
Vince?
the King.
What? Montgomery?
I swear.
Oh, this
That
is going
was
to be
that was
great.
that was the choices.
We need to all encourage, y'all need to write David Montgomery right now. Well, after the show anyway, or maybe tomorrow. Well, whenever you feel like it. Anyway, write or email David Montgomery or text him if you have his phone number and let him know we are strongly encouraging him to run for mayor. Please, baby Jesus, let David Montgomery run for mayor. Please, little baby Jesus.
Jessica Maddox says, we heard Duke was running for mayor. Look, I'm already mayor. I'm mayor of my house up here, and the King runs this house. Her name is Kara.
Hey, look, this is like, have you ever watched the show Mayor of Kingstown with what's that guy's name? Jeremy Renner? You know, the guy that
No,
played.
right?
Well, anyway, that's actually a great show. So we would be the mayor, or you would be the mayor of Bossier Watch, the undercurrent of Bossier. How about that? Yes.
Okay. Well, look, there was more to this poll, and I know inquiring minds want to know. And
It's first for me.
and so it was somewhat of a push poll. And if y'all don't know what a push poll is that it asks the question to steer you. It asks the question to try to shape you. And this is telling about who may have conducted this poll. And it's also telling about, what their intent is and where they're trying to go with it. So they then asked, do you support term limits and it making us be like Shreveport?
Equate term limits to being like Shreveport. Hold on a second. I don't remember any of the crime in Shreveport because they have term limits. I mean, and look, let's face it, not to pick on our friends across the river too much. I've said this ad nauseum. The fact is, Bossier crime, on balance, is not that far safer than Shreveport, except the murder rate. A lot of
But
the crime, Bossier and Shreveport are on par per capita. It's just that pesky little murder rate that they have over there.
well, yeah, I mean, but the inference is that they're wanting to, and they've already said it. Remember they said it. Welcome to Shreveport in their private meeting. That got outed on them. But the inference is that if you support term limits and you vote term limits and you make these people who have been in there for 20 something years go away, Bossier's going to become like Shreveport. Well,
Hmm.
I hate to bust the bubble, and I'm going to say it a little way, a little in a certain few ways, or I'm going to try to articulate it without being offensive to nobody. Imagine that. But
Hmm.
we've already got Shreveport problems. We already have Shreveport problems in Bossier. Hence
Corruption.
why we're doing term limits to change that. I mean, Ryan Haygood, the monument stuff. I mean, we didn't
Right.
have, why we didn't have monuments before? Because what is happening across the country with monuments? Monuments are being tore down.
Right.
Let me ask you this. What happens when somebody goes and starts researching history on the family of the Bigbies? And I don't know this, but what happens when they start going researching the history and they say, oh, well, that family may or may not have owned slaves or something of that? Then what? Are we going to go tearing the monuments down?
They'll
You
just
know,
pull that bust of Bigby right off the top of that sucker.
yeah. So, I mean, why Bossier wisely up until now has stayed out of the business of monuments, not even went there.
Right.
But
Well, except for the
Shriek,
one up at the courthouse, but that's not the
that's,
city. That's a whole other
that's,
subject.
that's right. That's not Bossier City. So,
Right. So we're kind of skipping around. Shall we try to get back in order? Or shall
yeah,
we
let's.
just go straight into term limits?
Well, hey, I think we would be remiss without talking about the hurricanes and the I mean a lot of a lot of sad stuff going on in the world, and young lady lost her life up here in
Right.
Benton, but actually
Yeah.
not very far from my house, and when that came through, I was literally, I think, about a half mile to a mile from where it came through. And, um, when I turned around to head back towards my house, I seen the fire truck pulling out of the fire station heading to there.
Right.
I was right there by it at the dam on Cypress, and tragic, tragic. Um,
Yeah, it definitely is because, even though we have pretty good weather systems these days and we have phones, my phone was going off with the tornado warning, as I'm sure everybody else's was. Still, a lot of times this stuff happens and you don't really have a lot of time to prepare. And even if you do have time to prepare, I mean, when a tornado hits your house, they're not really designed for those sideways winds like that.
no, not
So,
at all. And there's a lot of I mean, look, we hear it all the time, black helicopter stuff and all this stuff. But cut one. I mean, I seen this. I don't know who designed this or who did what, but this was an amazing image that I saw. But it took all of the the tornado warnings, and just superimposed them all that were issued during that little bit of time frame, and it was 67 total.
right. Yeah, it's been a
And
while since we've
that's
had one like that, but I'll remind everybody during Hurricane Rita, which was just what was Rita was a couple of weeks after what was that? Oh, Katrina. Anyway, Hurricane Rita blew through here. I don't know if we had that many tornado warnings, but we had some pretty good wind damage and pretty good rain from that. So
Well, I think
it
they're
happens,
saying this was the single day record,
right?
for anywhere in the country. And in regards to that family, a lot of you guys, I think you can go to Bentontown Happenings. Some of the different places they've actually set up a GoFundMe for that family. I mean, super tragic. They had a young child, I would say 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that, and then they had a baby. Um, just
Right.
I wish I had a link. If somebody has the link to the GoFundMe thing, if y'all want to put it up in the comments, we'll share that. But so I started listening to some of the other stuff, some of the black helicopter stuff, Rex. So go to cut 2, and I want to address these.
Okay, here we go.
I gotta go there. I've got to go there.
I
So
don't have my tinfoil hat in here with me though. All right, here
okay.
we go.
So from the National Weather Service, this was the track, right? The track and the proposed, or the track of Beryl. It was tornado up to the point it got to Shreveport, and then this was while Shreveport going on further into the St. Louis.
Right.
Now we all know that. That's not that unusual. But now I want you to go to cut 3, and I want y'all to look at this track.
Oh, here we go. Well, yeah, but this look, that's way over there to the left. Yeah.
Yeah, but look at across Arkansas. Look from one corner of Arkansas to the other corner of Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, look, maybe the eclipse left a magnetic trail. Here we go. Left a magnetic trail across Arkansas, and Beryl was looking for it, and finally, about the time Beryl hit about Caddo Lake, which it was actually going to go across Caddo Lake, the track shifted to the left, but it said, "Oh, there's that magnetic solar eclipse trail," and shifted back over. Yeah, see?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's what a lot of people are saying, but I ain't seen nobody say what I'm fixing to say in the comments yet. I don't know where y'all are at. They're out there.
Well, but maybe, look, maybe it was a chemtrail, and the solar eclipse followed the chemtrail.
No,
and then Beryl followed that.
It's worse.
If I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on, come on.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that.
All right.
Somebody didn't do their job. Somebody was asleep at the wheel.
Really? Oh, aren't we supposed to have that? Yeah. What's that thing called?
They didn't turn the Barksdale bubble on.
Somebody was asleep in the guard tower.
Well, I mean, all you Barksdale bubble people, I gotta know where y'all at.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe it was down for maintenance. Paul Black says, "Have we entered some tinfoil hat conspiracy segment?" Yes, Paul. We are actively trying to get booted off of every platform except X. So
I'm just saying, every time they got the radar popped up and there's a wind blowing, somebody's showing the Barksdale bubble. Well, I didn't see no Barksdale bubble yesterday.
Yeah, well, it definitely did not help. Although I will say it went just a little east of me, and shot up on the east. I guess it'd be the east side of you and Cypress Lake and all that. So I got spared. My neighbors, top of their pecan tree snapped, took off a little corner of their house, and they were out there with chainsaws earlier cutting it down. But other than that, well, I just had a few limbs down. But other people were definitely not so lucky.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, there's a lot of people still without power, and a lot of trees down, and I even heard out there in Halton, I think maybe Dogwood or out in that area or somewhere out there. Y'all might want to call people and ask that live in that swath, and make sure they don't need anything, make sure they're okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to put this comment up here. Ryan Haygood says chemtrails are real. I agree with you, Ryan. Every time I hear the sound of freedom out there and look up and see that B-52 pouring the coals to it, there is a trail of chemicals leaving behind that B-52 that you just can't mistake every single time. Okay.
I ain't going there. I mean, there's a black helicopter flying out around my property outside right now. I can hear it. So I'm going to stop talking about Barksdale bubble and chemtrails and none of that stuff. I'm not going there. But I will talk about Mike Johnson, and I will talk about Charter Commission. And
well, hold on a second.
Where do y'all want to get?
Wait, hold on a second. Let's skate backwards for a minute, because we did kind of skip over this Mike Johnson deal, and I want to get to that. So hold on just a second. Let me Let me figure out which button I got to hit here. Hold on. Let's see. Go ahead and kind of tee this up a little bit, and I'll be getting it ready.
All right. So y'all ain't gonna hear this that often, but you got to give credit where credit is due, and I think Walk on Water is gonna. I don't know. It ain't really him, but obviously he's behind it. Chip Roy is behind it. But how many of y'all, the what is it, the Safe Act or whatever? I think that's what it. I ain't even looking at the notes. I got to look at the notes.
Safe Act.
Yeah, it's this legislation to try to prevent, or make sure that only U.S. citizens vote in our elections. Have y'all heard about it?
I was thinking the Safe Sports Act, but that's a whole different ballgame. Okay.
It's the Save Act. I said safe, didn't I?
Oh,
It's the Save Act. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let me switch screens here. So we should have Mikey up on the screen. So do you want me to go ahead and hit play?
Yeah, go ahead and hit play. And look, I mean, I think they are on point on here. I mean, I can find criticism to say about anything, and I'll offer what that criticism would be after we listen to this. But today, I got to say, him and the rest of all of them up there that are fighting for this, they deserve credit because this is a good thing. So let it rip.
Been misleading everybody about the SAVE Act, which will be on the floor that you've heard about this morning. It's a very important piece of legislation. They're claiming to oppose the bill because they say it's going to make it harder to vote, but they know that that is not true. Many of the Democrats want all of these illegals to participate in our federal elections. They want them to vote. There's no other conclusion that you can draw. When the White House announced they would veto the bill, they effectively handed our elections over to all of these illegal aliens that have come here. And the number is far greater than what is being reported. We were in conference this morning. One of our colleagues from the state of Kentucky was down at the Texas border over the last week. And he was there with top border officials. It was down south of Laredo. And he said that he and the colleagues that were there personally witnessed 9 illegals cross the border and disappear into the woods. And 2 Border Patrol agents tried to follow them on foot, and they lost them. And they came back, and our colleagues then asked, well, how will you account for those numbers, to send to DHS so they can add them to the number? And they said, we can't count them. What do you mean? Well, the Secretary and DHS does not allow us to count anyone unless we can say conclusively that they didn't cross back over the border and go back. And we lost them in the woods, so we don't know. So they don't even count in the got-away numbers. This is how it's being done. Whatever number you think, whatever number is being reported is grossly underreported. I've been saying for some time, I think it's probably close to 16 million. That may be an underestimate. And it's a serious problem, and we cannot allow a federal election to be jeopardized by people who can run into the local welfare office, sign up for taxpayer benefits, and check a box that says, I'm a citizen and I want to vote. This is common sense legislation. Chip Roy has done an extraordinary job. Others have, preparing this, getting it ready. We have to make sure that we don't have an election that is flawed in this way. In states that are trying to catch these criminals, they're identifying thousands of illegal aliens who are indeed registering and trying to vote. Some states have already done their own audits. This will make sure that we can prevent this from happening, and so we've got to do this. You should ask every Democrat, if they're voting against this legislation, how in the world they can justify it. They've also been...
All right.
Well, I gotta say that I can't disagree with that. Certainly not.
Well, what I'm wondering is we have a diverse audience. I mean, not everybody agrees. Everybody knows that we are, and we know it's an overused term, conservative. What's a conservative? But we're the limited government types. We're to the right. We make no bones about that, but we criticize everybody. We criticize the right. We've criticized Walk on Water, countless times. And I'm going to criticize him here in just a minute. What would be a Bossier Watch show that we didn't? But I got to know from our friends that watch our show that are on the left. I got to know, do you think that people who are not citizens of the United States should be voting in our elections? Do you agree with that? I can't unwrap my head around it, Rex.
Well, and look, I won't go too far down the path. I've said many times on the show that I am not opposed to people immigrating to our country. We literally have plenty of room and plenty of food, at least for now, as long as they do it legally. But we all know that the illegals and what the Democrats are trying to do with the illegals and the population is, hell, nothing short of a scam. So, from that standpoint, there's no way that I support illegal immigrants from being able to vote in any shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah. I mean, but it's just us. I mean, but it's the people on the left. I mean, and maybe some independents. I don't know. I'm would feel confident that the libertarian type folks, they're not in agreement with non-citizens voting in our election, but it's the left who apparently they do or they don't. I mean, I'd love to hear that argument, that side of it.
So what's this voting sticker?
Okay, so apparently, I mean, you know how when you go to the polls and you go vote that you'll get a sticker?
Right.
Well,
Is
here's
that
here's going to be the new sticker.
is that a shrimp?
I
Not
I
really a
think
shrimp. He's got big claws. Is it supposed to be a crawfish? What the hell is that?
Well, I've surmised. If you're illegal and you vote, then that's going to be a saltwater crawfish. But if you're a American and you vote, it's going to be a crawfish, just a real crawfish.
Maybe it's a Rio Grande crawfish.
Well, that's what they call them. You know, they call them saltwater crawfish down there.
Okay, all right. That's a funny looking crawfish. Anyway, all right.
Yeah, but that's supposedly going to be the stickers that everybody's going to get.
Okay. What's next? We're going to go to the Charter Commission first, or we want to go ahead and talk about term limits and then the Charter Commission?
Well, yeah, I say we go ahead and let's hit the term limits thing, and then we will ease into the Charter Commission stuff because they're kind of related, and it's going to be a little bit of news on that front, I think.
All right, so here's what we're going to do, folks. I've got about a 4.5-minute video, and this will give you a little bit of insight into turning the term limits petitions into the Registrar of Voters office. Now, if you're following the Bossier Term Limits Facebook page, then I did release this earlier today, so you may have already seen it. But if you're not following the Bossier Term Limits page, this will be the first time for you to see it, and we will address some of the things in this video after the video. So here we go. Bossier Term Limits Coalition is proud to announce the submission to the Bossier Parish Registrar of Voters of approximately 3,400 petition signatures, including nearly 3,200 registered voters. This significant milestone marks a crucial step towards establishing term limits for elected officials in Bossier Parish.
All right, we're here at the Bossier Parish Courthouse fixing to go into the Registrar of Voters to turn in the required number of petitions to affect term limits on the Bossier City Council and Mayor's office.
The coalition, formed by concerned citizens dedicated to promoting accountability and transparency in local government, has been actively collecting signatures for several months. The overwhelming response from the community underscores the widespread support for term limits as a means to ensure fresh perspectives and prevent career politicians from dominating local politics.
We have brought you guys a petition.
Oh my goodness.
There are a few of them.
This is the term limits petition,
Okay.
and that is the first page
Okay.
where y'all stamped it, where we started the petition. And this little loose bunch are just some extras that we got in the last few days. They're not in order. We have them all page numbered, but you know, these are all. No.
Oh, okay.
Then this is, I talked to Miss Agee about this, but this is our RS 18-196. And I don't know if we talked about this last time, but I can't remember if y'all counted the inactive voters, but this basically goes through the process that any inactive voter or a person who's living at a different address, when we took the petition, that this updates the address, and it also changes them from an inactive voter to an active voter. So it makes it where that all of the inactive voters count as well. And that's RS 18196. It covers it in these first two paragraphs.
We went through and we entered all of the voter ID numbers that we had identified, and we identified duplicates, and everyone that was a duplicate, we didn't write through both of them, but we marked through one of the two and then just wrote duplicate. Okay. So
I think while you're doing that, I have one more question. I don't know what y'all do when, let's say there's a junior and a senior. Do y'all just check the address and find out which one is the junior or senior to verify this? You go by the date of birth. Okay, got it.
So this is the only one that we're going to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Get the staff and let them.
They're all unique signatures.
yeah, why don't we just, we'll come back when y'all are ready and we'll get the certificate in. How's that sound?
It might be a minute time.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while. So the next steps is the registrar will process all of the petitions that have been submitted, and once she delineates that we have met the required number of signatures, she'll then issue a certificate to us. We'll collect that certificate and the petitions, and then we will take and deliver those to the city council. And at that point, they will have 30 days to either vote without, what's the terminology?
Well, they basically, they can't change the petition. They have to use the words that were in the petition. So immediately when they certify the petition, we'll deliver it that morning to the, or that day to the city council as soon as we get it, because we want to give the city their 30 days immediately following that. But then after that, it's the city council's choice. They either vote to pass it or be in violation of their charter. We turned this petition in time to get it on the December ballot. We knew that we were not going to be able to meet the timeline for the November ballot, but the goal is to have it to the people for a vote in December, and that will limit the people that have been in office for more than the 12 years that the term limit is for, so they won't be able to run for the next office. So it'll open the door for a lot of new politicians to come into the city council.
The Bossier Term Limits Coalition extends its heartfelt gratitude to everyone who signed the petition and contributed to this effort. The coalition remains steadfast in its mission to promote good governance and to ensure that elected officials remain accountable to the citizens they serve. Questions from the audience? Let us hear them in the comments.
Yeah, so any questions that anybody wants to know, like any questions, I don't care, whatever. We throw it out there and we kind of talk about it. I mean, because it's a huge undertaking. Y'all may recall, we were kind of talking about it on the show. And in fact, I will acknowledge I was venting about the lack of help, and people not helping us. But, hey, Cassie Rogers, I want to tell you all about Cassie Rogers. Cassie came through in a huge way. She walked almost every single day and walked a ton. And while we're at that, Rex, so I don't want to go no further till I got to find this. This is important. And I want to share this. I want to share this with everybody. And I hope, some of our friends at the Bossier City Council and some of those who, I'm going to drop it in the folder.
Okay.
If I can. Let's see here.
Yeah, it may
This
take
over
a second
here.
to transfer through. Yeah, look, while you're doing that, just going back to Cassie, and what some of you may not realize is Cassie hurt her foot like the last day that y'all were doing signatures out there. So in that video, she still, with a very hurting foot, walked up to that courthouse and went up to the registrar of voters office with everybody to make sure that those petitions got turned in. So she is quite the trooper.
Yeah, so I dropped it in the folder. I don't.
Yeah, is that the sidewalk?
Yeah, the image 1932.
Yeah. Okay.
And so So when you're hitting all of these, doors, and you're covering a lot of concrete. You see all of the trash piles in people's yards on the sidewalks, but you also see some of the problems. Well, this thing here, this took out Cassie, and she literally had to go to the doctor, to the hospital, because of a potentially broken foot, broken. And I know Cassie did. I'm gonna drop another one in the
Here we
so
go.
I'm gonna drop another picture in there. And so term limits petitioners versus sidewalk, and the end result is the next picture that I just shared with y'all.
Okay, hold on just a second. Here we go. Oh, wow.
So
So I'll take it by that picture. It is officially broken.
So for those of you that the rule is that whoever bleeds first, has to buy beer or is bought beer first for, I don't know which way it goes, but either way, I think I'm going to pitch in to buy for her.
No doubt. She definitely took one for the team, as they say. Uh, on her foot and big toe. It was that thing was black and blue and purple. I don't see how she managed to walk up all the way up to the courthouse and upstairs and downstairs without screaming in pain. Wow.
Yeah, so City Hall down there, they're probably reveling that, hey, we were able to take one of them out, but you didn't do it soon enough. We got the job done. We turned in all the signatures, which was a lot. We w- spent a lot of time. There's a lot of people that did a lot of things. Some people don't want their names mentioned. One of the things that, and I'll speak on behalf of a lot of folks, and there's a lot of folks, we heard it at the doors of a lot of people. There is an air of fear in the public of their elected officials, and
Well,
that they would retaliate against them. And I'm not talking about just the city
right.
council
No,
members.
the little bit that I walked, one of the houses I went to, guy answered the door and said, "Look, yeah, we'd all like to sign in this household, but some of the members of the house work in the house work for the school board. Some of them are associated with the city." He said, "I'll go ahead and sign it, but they're literally afraid to put their names on that petition simply out of fear of retaliation, and that is absolutely crazy."
Yeah, and it's more common than y'all think that and if that tells you right there you have a problem when the public is scared of their elected officials and what they will do to them. That is an indicator right there that you've got a problem in your government. You've got a
Yeah.
major problem.
So let me ask you this, Duke. So compared to round one with the petitions previously, would you say that it was easier to get signatures this time? Was it more difficult? Or do you think the average citizen of Bossier City was more determined to sign the petition? Or do you have any sense of that?
Well, from from my perspective, it was easier because we had more people that came to help here in the end. There was a lot of people that came out and jumped. It made it a heck of a lot easier. Colonel Crockett and I wore out a pair of shoes. I'm pretty sure he did the first time around. I mean,
He's a
I
machine.
he is a machine, and not enough credit goes to him to how many signatures and how much he walked. I mean, good grief, that dude is a machine. But um, yeah, I would say it was easier, and the reason I would say it was easier, um, you know, politicians try to say that, oh, they're uninformed. Juliana Parks saying that
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not told all sides of the story, and y'all not telling both sides of the story, and they don't know what they're signing. She is sadly mistaken. I dare her to go door knock. Take our list. Take our list. Go to the courthouse, get the list, and go visit some of those communities, some of those doors that signed the petition. Go knock on their doors, and as a politician, go have those conversations at their door and tell them you think they're uninformed and ask them to explain it to you. people out there know exactly what it means. They know exactly what it does, and they overwhelmingly are in support of it. And it was easier, Rex. Hands down, it was easier. People would rip the clipboard out of our hands faster and just shut us off from talking. Give me that. Yes. Give me that.
Well,
We need that.
look, the math doesn't lie. So we know that about 80% of people nationally support term limits overall. And I would venture to say that going door to door, it's about the same number, maybe even a little higher. I would say of the people that were actually home and were eligible to vote and thus sign the petition, I would say it was 80, maybe 90% in some neighborhoods that were absolutely for term limits. And yeah, let me sign that petition. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I think so. And, so the thing is Haygood up in the it's been up there a little ways. Haygood asked a pretty important question. He said, "So where do we, or what way, where do they, or where, how do they fight it?" I can't find it. What is it? What? Repost it, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm looking. Oh, he said, "What is their strategy to deny it this time?" It's a great question because all of this is calculated. They're going to fight, and we've expected them to fight. And I'm not going to tell everything and our strategy going forward, but obviously we've calculated that they're going to fight. We just accepted that they don't want to let go of power. They want to continue to hang on to it. I think, and this kind of goes into our next section. So they talking about the Charter Commission. So to everybody's understanding, the Charter Commission has kind of blown up. We talked about in the previous shows with Preston just inexplicably resigning, and we'll see how all the investigations turn out and all of that. But let me say it this way. Sources say now that Mr. Zamboni driver Charles Jacobs is back in the driver's seat, that there is a new effort to revive the Charter Commission.
Right. So the Charter Commission's like limping on a broke leg. Sorry, Cassie. So what is going on there? Wait a minute. They're trying to revive it? Or they like literally have paddles out trying to resuscitate the Charter Commission? What's going on?
Well, that's what I'm saying is now all of a sudden, and I mean, look, we've telegraphed it. We made no bones about it that we were close to the numbers and we were fixing to be turning them in here pretty quick. And so there's been this effort on behalf of, I would contend, the anti-term limits group to revive the Charter Commission. And what I believe is for them to try to make an end run to try to shut down our petition, kill our petition, I don't know what, have a competing thing on the ballot. Here's the deal. Jeff Sadow wrote a great article that he put out. I think it was yesterday or Monday. And in there, he said that one tack that they could do is that the Charter Commission reconvened and they basically dumped everything they had done to this point and only voted on one issue, which would be term limits, which would be different from what we have done, that would enable all of the entrenched politicians to remain, and they could, racing the clock, get it to the ballot box on the same ticket as our petition. That was what he was contending. And I got to tell you,
poison pill type scenario.
Yeah, well, they think, I think what they think there is that they could confuse the public, that if they could run two competing term limits things on the ballot, they run a 50-50 shot of confusing the public and winning on their issue. And of course, you can bet, I mean, they're going to dump a ton of money into a media campaign to deceive all of the public into, their proposed term limit thing that would enable them to be able to stay other. They already telegraphed what they're going to attack our term limits petition in a media campaign to say, vote for this if you want to be like Shreveport. So,
oh, I don't think that's going to have quite the effect they think it is. They may want to, their campaign advisor may want to rethink his strategy. And yes, you know who you are.
Well, here's what I want to know. What do y'all mean be like Shreveport? What exactly?
Are they racist?
This is what I want to know. What exactly do you mean we don't want to be like Shreveport? You mean crime and all that? I mean, is that what you're talking about? Or what exactly do they mean? I mean, last I checked, they have a mayor that's busting their butt over there trying to fix their problems and turn things around over there. I mean,
and our mayor's over here taking lots of selfies and cutting ribbons, which is Lisa Friday Johnson's job.
Well, I'm not trying to make a comparison to the mayors, but what I am trying to say is that they are actively trying to fix their problems over there rather than sweeping the problems under the rug. You know, you don't hear them. They don't have the problem on really police pay over here. we know we got the lowest paid police, and we're not even addressing it. We're just sweeping it. Where is that staffing study? Where is it at?
But not so. I want to mention this because somebody mentioned, I can't remember if it was a Proton mail, an email, a comment, a message, whatever. So forgive me if you're watching the show and in the comments right now, but sound off and let me know if you're there. Somebody mentioned that maybe they should take the Sunday liquor sales that they approved and use that money and dedicate it for police and fire raises.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that sounds like a good idea. I don't know how that would work, and I don't know what kind of money that would generate. But look, I'm open to considering options to address it. Because here's the thing: these guys aren't going to do anything until after January. They're going to try to drag it into the elections if they're still on the ballot, or push it off into, if they aren't able to run, push it off onto the next folks to have to address. And I want to know what they mean about, do you want to be like Shreveport? I mean, are they trying to say that it's only because of them to this point that we are not like Shreveport? I mean, what, and is it only them who can ensure Bossier stays the way it is? So you're telling me that in this city, nobody else can do the job? They're the only ones that can do it? It sounds a lot like some of the things that Juliana Parks has said in the past.
Oh, I mean, the little princess. Oh, there's so much I could say to that. But as a matter of fact, let me transition over. Hold on just a second. So I'm going to put the show event graphic that the Cartoon Factory was busy making today, and this will kind of segue or transition off of what you were just saying. So there's the city council members, and I even included Tommy Chandler over there on the end, and they're getting the gift of term limits. And notice I had to stick the little princess over there.
Well, you know what's interesting about that picture? What's interesting about that picture, everybody on there except for one person is, at the beck and call of one individual in there.
Yes.
You know which one that is?
I almost put Juliana in David Montgomery's lap, but I thought, nah, I'll give her a chair.
Only one person in this picture is not having to do the bidding of the one individual, and I don't know who it is because his image is behind the logo of my mortgage company, Acadiana Mortgage, mine and Kara's. So I don't know who it is.
Had to leave folks guessing just a little bit with the Cartoon Factory,
So, look, so that's one way about fighting term limits. I mean, I will tell you, I had a source tell me that they have another method of how they're going to attack this petition.
Wait a minute. You mean they're not just going to accept the term limits and play nicely in the sand and put these on the ballot? Gosh, Duke, I'm shocked.
Well, when they said we don't want to be like Shreveport, I mean, this flies, or do you want to be like, however they said it? I don't know exactly how they said it. It's just what it was passed on to me. But it was told to me or conveyed to me that they have another plan of how they were going to attack it, but they have to fall back on one of the council members in that image to do it. And I hope y'all are all sitting down, because this one's liable to make y'all all mad.
Let me get back over there. So let's play spin or pin the tail on the donkey, spin the bottle, whatever. Anyway, who's it going to land on?
Well, I think he's going to land to the right hand of the king.
Oh, really?
So allegedly, one of their plans is that potentially they're going to claim that the term limits petition is racist.
Oh, it's racist. How is it racist? I specifically remember not just talking to white people.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't remember race as a qualification for signing the petition.
No, it's not. But somehow or another, in some sick, perverted way, that is said to be one of the angles to which they intend to pursue to fight it, is to claim that the term limits petition is racist.
Riddle me this: do they consider the NAACP a racist organization? Because am I imagining things, or
it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. That doesn't it doesn't matter. What matters is that if they can file suit and file an injunction on the grounds of discrimination or racism or whatever, and the one minority
they can file any lawsuit that they want. I mean, you can file a lawsuit against a sandwich.
All they have to do is delay it from getting on the ballot and prevent all of y'all, the citizens of Bossier, from being able to vote on it. That's their
Here's
goal.
the strategy. They just want to file the lawsuit to get it mired down in the 26 JDC, because we all know that's the goal, and you got to get it out of the 26 JDC and up to the appellate court to get anything done. And that takes time and money, and that's what they're banking.
But I don't, and good, I'm no lawyer. Maybe we have a lawyer in the comments that, well, no, there's no lawyer going to post up in the comments.
Well,
so
hold on. I'm not going to mention his name. I should. I'm not going to mention his name, but we do have a lawyer that has not been friendly towards term limits that apparently has had a change of heart. People can change. I think Paul Black made a comment about how could anybody be against term limits. I think it was Paul. Somebody in the comments did. Some people do have a change of heart, apparently.
Well, but here's the thing. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure that it would go to district court. I think it might, depending on how they argued it, they might could get it into federal court.
That would be an interesting play.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, just a source told me that was one of consideration that was in their cards. And to me, I got to tell you, knowing everybody who helped with the term limits petition, from, the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, from the NAACP, there's nothing racist or discriminatory about this at all. Nothing, zero, nada. But it's simply using racism as a tool to try to delay the term limits petition. Any way they can do it to continue power.
They got to get one more term in, just at least one more term in. That's what they're trying to do, folks. And yeah, look, I mean, we're kind of joking because we don't expect them to just readily accept these petitions either, even though they're, the petition is absolutely following the letter of the law this time. There's no doubt about it. As a matter of fact, Colonel Crockett mentioned something in that video, folks. I don't know if y'all caught it, but he mentioned Louisiana Revised Statute 18:196. Let's spend a minute, and I'm going to pull that up, and let's talk about that for a second, because I don't know if folks caught it, but it was news to me. And
yeah, so
let's talk about this.
Yeah, so the last petition, there was a lot of names that were canceled out. There's a lot of reasons that names were canceled out. I mean, we all know about the city challenging because it didn't have the year of birth. And, we knew that from the start, but we were told that the voter ID contains all that. We all know that. But um, some of the other things, if let's say the voter hasn't voted in the last 4 elections, they were registered to vote, they're still on the voter rolls, but they're inactive. Um, those voters weren't counted in our list the last time. So this time, to our understanding, this time we found, I guess, this law here where it basically says or suggests that if they participate in this petition, that it essentially refreshes their registration and brings them up to date because it's essentially the same as participating in an election.
Yeah, and so for those of you that are listening to the podcast audio version or too small for y'all to see, what I've got highlighted here is this is 18:196, Part 2. It says, any registrant whose name appears on the inactive list of voters shall be eligible to sign a petition, and such petition signature, if valid, shall be sufficient to return the registrant to the official list of voters. If the registrant still resides at the address on file at the office of the registrar of voters, the address on the petition shall be considered written confirmation of the continuation of that address for that registrant. However, if the address is different from that on file at the office of the registrar of voters, the address on the petition shall be considered written confirmation of the change of address of the registrant. You know what I find amazing about this, Duke? This is the opposite of racism right here. This is the opposite of disenfranchising voters. This would actually be re-enfranchising voters. Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, what machinations they're going to have in their mind to try to fight this thing. I mean, all conceivable ways. I mean, look, Charles Jacobs and Richard Ray, we all know they are masters at figuring angles and stuff, and I think they will be pressed hard to figure out an angle of how to beat this and how to stop it. And we're going to have to be there to fight them.
Well,
So,
shall we mention one of those angles? And I'll just throw this out there a little coyly or slyly. While we almost didn't have a show tonight or had a remote show, shall we mention that?
No.
Okay. Dang it.
No. But what I will say to y'all is that they are pulling out all the stops behind the scenes. They know that literally we'll call it hurricane term limits is coming from Benton to Bossier City very soon, and they are pulling out all the stops to be prepared for that hurricane coming. I mean,
Well,
they are sparing no expense.
Here's what I'll remind all of them, and the little princess especially, Princess Juliana herself. Remember, you're on the wrong side of this if you're on the 20% side, which is the side they're all on. You should be on the 80% side, which is the approximate percentage of people that support term limits. It's simple math. The math don't lie. 80-20. Y'all quit listening to young Matthew. Well, they're probably not listening to him. He's taking advice. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm going to disagree.
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say anything.
Well, you already said something, but anyway, and
no
I think you're wrong.
Backs.
I think you're wrong. There's no take backs, and I hate to disagree with you, but I got to disagree with you. I think you're wrong.
Okay.
And we'll leave it at that. We'll disagree there. But
yeah.
Anyway, the signature wise, I mean, 3,400 signatures. It was something around there. We got so many there at the end, we couldn't even add them into the number. I mean, we had like 3,300, and we got a big stack of signatures from volunteers in the end that we didn't even get to add to the number. And I still don't know. I made copies of them, but I still don't know what it is. And so make everybody feel comfortable, there's date of births on all of them. Or
Yes.
year of birth.
Year of birth on all of them. Yeah. And so the Bossier Term Limits Coalition did put out a press release today, as well as also released copies of that raw video, minus the music, that we showed here on the show. That a copy of that was also sent out as a press release to all of the media outlets, along with this press release. So we'll see who reports on it and who doesn't.
Well, Thomas Shea says, why wouldn't the mayor get more involved in this issue? If he really wanted this to go before the public, he could make it happen. Well, yes and no, Thomas. I mean, he can't make the graybeards, as Jeff Sadow says. He can't make the graybeards put it on the ballot. But I think earlier in the comments, Ryan Haygood, talked about Vince Maggio. Vince Maggio is going to have a pretty good problem here, because Ryan is correct. He said Vince said he was for it if it contained the year of birth. And it was on video. We showed it on this show several times. He did say it. So what is he going to say now to say, well, I don't think we should give the public the right to vote on this? It doesn't matter. He said he agreed with term limits. He said he disagreed with term limits. So you really don't know where he stands. But I don't believe that he supports term limits. But he said that he supports giving the public the opportunity to vote on it if it's got the year of birth on there. So,
and look, I might not agree with his stance on term limits, but I do agree with his position that he said, which is giving the people a chance to vote on it. Because look, there's always the chance, we feel it's an outside chance, but there's always the small chance that it would go to the polls and the voters would shoot it down. We don't think that's going to happen, but there's still always that chance.
And they're going to spend a ton of money to try to deceive you to not support it and to vote against it, or dangle some other poison pill or carrot out there to get you to vote for that. Because my understanding is, if they know Vince did not sign the petition, if they put a competing term limits amendment on the ballot at the same time of ours, whichever gets the most votes will be the prevailing one. That's my understanding.
So everybody just vote for both of them.
No,
simple enough.
No,
are they going to put it on there as a choice?
No, it would be the Charter Commission and their total amending the whole petition. Amending the whole charter,
right?
And then the single issue of the charter, the people's petition,
and the petition that y'all just turned in,
right? If the Charter Commission amendment gets more votes than the term limits petition, the Charter Commission amendment wins the day.
Okay.
And that's in the dueling. That's what they were talking about.
All right, but here's my question, and maybe I just hadn't had enough coffee or tea, or maybe I need to switch drinks and actually get a stiff drink. So here's my deal. But this is not going to be on the ballot where people are voting either for the petition or for the Charter Commission amendments. They'll be voting straight up or down, yes or no, on the petition.
Correct.
And, keyword and, they would also be voting on the Charter Commission amendments, which would include term limits. So if everybody just makes sure and votes for both of them, whoever gets the most votes wins, right? I mean, is the prevailing deal, as you said.
Whichever one gets the most votes in favor wins. So if the Charter Commission amendment thing gets one more vote than the term limits petition, then the Charter Commission thing wins, and the term limits petition thing would win but fail. It would it passes but fails because it didn't have the majority.
Okay, I see what you're saying on that, but honestly, I don't. Well, I guess there are some other things in the Charter Commission amendments that, should go ahead and pass, but the term limits is the big thing.
Well, right. But again, it's just like what Jeff was saying is the whole ruse. And in fact, look, all of us term limits people, we hesitated. We started this petition a long time ago. We did, and we hesitated because we thought there was legitimate sincerity in amending the charter and trying to do the right thing. And then once it became abundantly clear, look, it was never a question in my mind. I ain't looked at the camera all night. I need to move. Let me move this over so I'll be looking at the camera. It was abundantly clear to me from the very beginning that it was a ruse. But I got to tell you, a lot of people, the majority of people, they believed that the Charter Commission thing wasn't a ruse. They believed that it was going to be a legitimate effort to try to amend the charter. And I'm not saying that everybody on the Charter Commission they believed it too. They put a lot of time into it, and they were, in all sincerity, half of them, yeah. It was in their heart. But I think the other half that are against term limit, they've shown their cards that it's not about giving the public what they want or the opportunity to vote on what they want. It's not about what the public wants. It's about what they want and their appointees. I mean, Charter Commission people, if you say I'm wrong, prove to me that you've got over 3,000 supporters for not giving the public. Show me that you have over 3,000. Prove it to me. I can prove to you that there's over 3,000 people. Can you prove it to me? No, you can't.
And look,
best you can do is 100.
It's been said, but
I'll spot you 100, and you still ain't even close to me. You're still thousands away.
Yeah, you could spot them 1,000 for that matter. But here's the deal, and we've said this many times before. The only reason that the Term Limits Coalition got, 3,400, over 3,000 signatures is because that's just where you stopped.
Yeah, that's just where we stopped. I mean,
so think, and Colonel Crockett's in the comments, maybe you can think about this too. What percentage of Bossier City do you think y'all actually covered? Would you say it was 15%, 20%, 25%?
Oh, I couldn't even begin to tell you. But the problem is like when you walk down a street, I mean, and this comes from the experience of knocking on doors. We may go to a subdivision and there may be 10 houses on the street, and there's only 2 of them are home. Yeah. And of those 2, you may or may not get somebody to come to the door. Because if they got swimming pools or in the backyard or with the kids in the pool, they never hear you. The time of day that you go, if they're older folks and they're elderly, a lot of people take a nap in the middle of the day and they turn all that crap off. And I mean, I get it. If I was going to take me a little hacienda in the middle of the day, I'd turn the doorbell and all that off. And a lot of doorbells, especially on the houses that face west where the sun beats down on them, even the doorbells don't even work. The sun's bleached them out. You learn those little things.
Yeah, well, there is a lot to it. It's not just, walking down a street. And I can say just from the little bit that I experienced it, you're absolutely right. You'll walk for many houses without getting an answer just simply because they're not there. And my kind of routine was walk up, give them a knock, ring on the doorbell, wait, about 30 seconds. If you hear a movement, sometimes they have to put dogs up. If you hear a movement or can tell that somebody's coming to the door, fine. If not, move on to the next house. Cassie says, well, I covered 90% of SOBO, and of that, 95% signed. We love our SOBO people.
I think what she meant was 95% of what she knocked on, she got those signatures because look, nobody hit 90% of the doors. I love you, Cassie, but I'm just sorry. I gotta say you didn't hit 90%, but she did.
All right.
Maybe 80%. I don't know. I shouldn't even have said nothing. Love you,
All
Cassie.
right. So Jeff Sadall says, here's the strategy. The establishment, if they punt the rival measure on the ballot, will vote for theirs and against the people's, then hope everybody else votes for both. Their version wins unless those who want strict term limits are informed enough to vote against the establishment version.
Bingo.
Okay. So riddle me this, but again, it's late in the day. What is the difference in the Charter Commission version of the term limits and the one on the petition?
Well, they won't have any term limits. It'll just be retaining the section, regarding term limits as it exists today. That would be what it would be. There would be no term limits. But they probably,
all right, so,
they would put term limits on there without retro, enabling them to run.
All right, but here's the thing, and I'm going to answer my own question here in just a second, but bear with me. So here's the thing. The Charter Commission has already voted on term limits with retroactivity. So theoretically, that's what they're supposed to put forward to the city council if the mess ever gets untangled with the Charter Commission.
But that's why Jacobs and all of them are trying to get it reconvened now that Preston's gone. And somebody made mention about one of the ladies, one of the appointees, has not hardly made a meeting, and that's Pandorina Sumas. Well, I can report to everybody that she has since allegedly resigned. So now you've got 2 vacancies on the commission, and which poses another question.
Well, okay. So, Wes Marriott commented and said, I don't see the Charter Commission getting anything on the ballots. Honestly, I don't either, Wes. I think the only thing that's going to be on the ballot eventually will be the petition, and that's going to have to make its way through the courts. So we'll be lucky if it gets on the ballot in December, only because they're going to try to wrap it up in a lawsuit, I think.
Well, look, as Jeff Saddow pointed out, y'all have to think about the timelines, and you have to think about what are the things that will delay the Charter Commission from getting something on the ballot. Well, the thing that will delay them the most is because it has to be properly formatted and written in an ordinance. And this is one of the benefits we had. They did the work for us. They sent it down there for Foley and Judell to write the term limits as we wanted it, the way it wanted. And remember, Tommy Chandler put it up there, and they kind of sicked it. Well, that's where we got the language and where we saw the language. So what Jeff Saddow was saying is that if they can get their Charter Commission reconvened, and all they need is one meeting, and they can vote to rescind everything that they've done prior to now and vote to only 1 or 2 simple things that Foley and Jadell can go through, rather than it take them multiple weeks. It only takes them a couple of days to spit that crap out. They could still conceivably get it sent to the bond commission on the same timeline as us, but they would have to condense they'd have to get rid of a bunch of that crap. That's what they would have to do it. And now that Preston is gone and Pandorina, conceivably the anti-term limits people have a majority on the Charter Commission, so they can pretty much do whatever they want. Now, the fine print here is what is going to be and I hate to use the word rescind, but most people will understand that as being what has to happen here, but basically to overturn or revoke what was previously voted on and done. does it take 2/3? Does it take a simple majority? Does it take a majority of the whole body, or does it take a simple majority of those present? All those questions come into play procedurally, and it's going to be hard for them to navigate all that, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, and we can sit here and armchair quarterback it all we want. In the end, whatever they decide to do, if we, the people, don't like it, the only recourse we have is to file a lawsuit, which again costs money, and there's a prohibitive factor in that.
Well, Ryan Haygood. So let's do some math here. Ryan brings up a good point. He says the good guys should just not show up for a quorum. And so he's advocating that the good guys do what we're saying the bad guys did by just they're not going to show up so long as Preston's around anymore because we can't get our way. And the reason was because they knew that they didn't have a majority. Well, now a quorum, you've got Wilhite, you've got Whitman, you got Juliana, and you got Morehart. There's 4 of them.
Yeah, and
So
there's only 7 now, assuming Pandarima has in fact resigned. So there's your quorum.
There's your quorum in 4. You're good. They're good to go.
Right. I was sitting here looking at my list trying to run the math real quick. So
yeah, so they have a quorum to do what they want to do. All they got to do is get the show on the road. Now, when it comes to the procedural on the votes, and I know rescind, some Robert's Rules professional is going to correct me. It's not a rescinding or whatever, but to revoke or rescind the previous action, there's some hurdles they got to get to. And I think ultimately for them to do it, they have to have 2/3, a 2/3 of the majority to be able to accomplish it.
Right. Yeah. Wes Marriott says filibuster. Well, that'd be an interesting tactic, but I don't know. 2/3 vote would be needed to call for the question, but that's only a 2/3 vote would be needed to call for the question, but that's only if there's a motion made and they want to terminate discussion. That's when you call for the question. You don't have to have a 2/3 vote for somebody to make a motion and it get a second, and then they vote on the motion. The 2/3 vote only comes into calling the question. Calling the question is literally state the motion and roll with it.
Yeah, but to bring something up that was previously decided, there's a higher bar for that. I mean, it's a lot higher.
Right. Colonel Crockett says 5 is a quorum for a 9-member board. That's true, but we know for sure 1 member not on there and potentially a second member that have resigned. And then if they don't fill the positions, it's a simple majority. And they can just declare if they want to that 4 out of 7 would make a quorum and a simple majority. And then you'd have to sue them to absolve that, or we'd have to get the AG's office to get involved somehow.
Now Larry Hawkins is correct. He says for the commission to bring it back up, doesn't one of the members who voted in the affirmative have to bring it back up for discussion and a vote? And you're right, Larry, and I'm not a professional on Robert's Rules, but I think that's within the same meeting. That's where I think the rub on that provision is that, for it to be brought, it has to be brought up, and it goes to the way that it's brought up. For one of the members that voted in the affirmative is the only one that can bring it back up in the same meeting. But once it's been dispensed with and you've moved on to the next meeting, I don't think you can go at it that way.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, we did share Robert's Rules of Order in ebook edition. I don't know, I guess that link is still valid from another publishing company that apparently had permission to share that out, we're assuming. So you may want to go search and grab that if it's still available. I'll check the Facebook page here in just a second.
But I think overall, I mean, the allegations of conflicts of interest, I mean, and look, there's countless conflicts of interest. I mean, I'm not going to rehash them, but I think this whole thing, their whole deal is going to get tied up in different ways of court. I tend to agree with you. I see it as almost impossible that they're going to be able to get something on the ballot. But I mean, look at the people we're dealing with here. The one thing that they're going to be good about is preventing you, the public, from having what you want on term limits. That's they're going to be good about it.
Colonel Crockett says they're in violation of their own charter if 9 members are not seated. Well, they might be, but what are you going to do about it? Really? What are you going to do about that? It's a valid question.
David Jones chimes in. Where has he been at? He's like Mark Smith out there lately.
Let's see. He says it got kind of weird when a member wanted to bring it up. Another meeting was it decided or tabled? I don't know. It's been weird pretty much all along.
I don't know. I'm wondering, David, did the secretary or did the chairman get to delineate what was on the agendas or not? Or did y'all just let Phyllis tell y'all what was going to be on the agenda and you just took it? Phyllis may not have been the secretary then. I don't remember who it was then, but I'm just saying, apparently nowadays the secretary makes the agendas and the chairman has no input.
Yeah, well, they just change the rules as they see fit. All right. So that's the petitions and the charter commission, which are definitely tied together by shoestrings. What's this deal about?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what's the deal about overweight vehicles? But go ahead if you got some more on the charter commission or the petition.
No. I was gonna move on. That's good. I mean, well, look, Sobo Live put some pictures and a link about a bridge down there off of Sligo Road. And I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but man, that dadgum thing had like boards falling out from underneath of it. I mean, it would have been like a bad episode of Bugs Bunny or something like that, with the Roadrunner and stuff going across the road and all that stuff. I don't know. Anyway, I'm making stuff up here. Give you time, just babbling. But
yeah, I'm desperately trying to find the link real quick because I didn't have it pulled up.
Yeah, but that bridge was bad, man. You ever dream about driving over one of these bridges and you worry that it's gonna, and if David Womack, he won't watch another show after listening to this, but you drive across a bridge and you imagine if it failed and you fell through the bridge underneath it or something. Well, that kind of is the way that picture looks, because part of the bridge literally was like falling down into the bayou.
Yeah, I just about got it pulled up here. Hold on, give me a second here.
So of course, I think even the police jury had put out a post and said, talking about overweight vehicles or something to that effect, as being the cause. And basically, I mean, you're blaming all the oil field. And I'm not saying they didn't contribute to it. I'm not saying that at all. But it's funny that, this is kind of made because we've had some information recently come across our radar, have we not?
Yeah, we have. And, we've been a little coy about that as we kind of research it. But maybe it wasn't just private vehicles or private companies that were overweight crossing that bridge that might have caused that to happen. I got to say, I mean, that does look like some of those boards, but some of those may have snapped because of overweight, but some of those boards, that looks like water rot. And water damage.
It looked to me like they're just rotten.
Yeah.
I mean, but either way, the bridge failed, and fortunately nobody was killed or hurt in this, but this just raised the dander of ours about the subject matter, because it's instinctively always the fault of the oil field and those heavy oil field trucks, overweight, going across all these bridges. And you know what? That's probably true. They probably do a little bit, but not too long ago. I mean, I guess it's been, I don't even know how long ago. It may have been 6 months. I don't know how long it's been, but we had some anonymous information sent to us regarding Bossier Parish. So, as y'all know, the police jury has their own division of motor vehicles that go out and write overweight tickets, and they gleefully post images on the police jury website and this of, they've got these oil field equipment pulled over and writing them citations for being overweight or what have you. But Rex, have you ever wondered about government equipment?
Well, yeah, I mean, or, you're a truck driver, I'm not. So how does that work? I mean, do they follow the same rules that you have to follow with your CDL? How does that work?
Well, it's funny you ask, because here's the thing. They don't. They are not governed by FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act, whatever. They're not governed by any of the rules. So, like every truck you see out there on the road, they're regulated and they have a maximum weight that they can be. But let's say if you see a Bossier Parish dump truck or a Bossier Parish water truck or a Bossier Parish flatbed hauling equipment or hauling an excavator or whatever, the laws don't apply to them. And
Oh, wait a minute. It's it, they're not following the same regulations, so they can go out there with whatever weight their truck can possibly handle. Is that what you're saying?
it's not whatever their truck can possibly handle. It's however much they can put on it and it can move. That's what they can do.
You
And
gotta be kidding me.
I kid you not. They are exempt from any regulations. And they're not the only ones. The state, every government entity is exempt from all of the rules.
So
So
it's do as they say, not as they do.
correct. Now the question becomes if they were allegedly, overloading dump trucks or equipment or things like that, if they were doing that, how could you prove it? How could you prove it?
Yeah, I mean,
And,
what are you
and
gonna do? Run up behind them, flashing the lights, and happen to have a set of portable scales with you to weigh them? I mean, yeah, how would you prove that?
well, let's say for instance they overloaded an end dump, and the end dump was overloaded and it goes into a curve, rolls over on top of your child or your family member and crushes and kills them, and then you file suit against them, for negligence or what have you, and you allege that they were overweight or their tires were bald, as the state police said, and that as the cause of most accidents regarding your inspection stickers, why you should have them. Um, they don't have no inspection stickers; they're exempt. Again, remember. But if it rolled over, they would claim their exemption, and I, I don't know where you would go there. I mean,
Well, yeah, it's like I was saying about the daggum charter commission. I mean, what are you gonna do?
yeah. So, I mean, look, axles are only made to have so much strength to carry so much weight, and I will tell you the information that we got was in fact that the parish of Bossier was overloading their equipment, overloading their trucks. They don't even weigh them. They load as much as they can put on them, and off they go. And so for the public, that endangers the public. Um, you know, because look, equipment fails, and it'll especially fail when you overload it and you work it beyond the working capacity of it. And the second thing, and to me the most egregious thing, is that if they are in fact overloading all of their equipment when they go out, but yet they're turning around and riding, out here hustling. They've got a division dedicated to go after everybody else to write them tickets for doing what they're doing. But you can't prove it because they don't even have to have BOLs. Every truck, a train, a plane, you know, bill of lading, a manuscript. They got a ton of different terms for every different method of travel, but they are exempt from even having to have that. They don't even have to have that. You'd never know what they weighed anyway.
But wait a minute, Julie Ferris, we love Julie, but she's saying the Capitol-Sligo Road Bridge was inspected fall of 2022, excuse me, and was supposed to have a posting 30 to 39% below legal loads. So, see, that should apply to the police jury as well, and state DOT and whatever other, pick your government entity. Right?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. I hate to say it, but, we may need to be looking at term limits for the parish here pretty hard. And I think that's, Juliana knows it. I think that's why she's fighting so hard in Bossier, because she knows the next step after Bossier City, it comes to them.
Yeah, but she's already going to try to be stepping off the police jury and stepping into a judge's robe or whatever. I mean, I don't really know why she's that worried about it. The little princess will just, she'll just go stepping stone to stepping stone, politically speaking.
Yeah, kind of like a lot of other politicians. They all seem to do that. Going back to like Mike Johnson, I can remember, it's funny we're talking about illegals voting in elections. And I said I was going to be critical, talking about illegals voting in elections. And all of a sudden today we've got this big uproar about illegals. Again, I remember standing down there in Laredo, Texas, videoing the freaking bus loads being poured in and sounding an alarm. And that had to have been back 2012, 2011, during that time frame. And this didn't just happen yesterday. It's been going on a long time. But, we don't elect, and I'm not saying I'm better in any way. I'm just saying, but there are people who are noticing these things, have said things or whatever, but those aren't the people that are fighting on our behalf. Those aren't the people we send to fight on our behalf. We send people who wake up after it's happened and then say, oh, we got to do something. We got to do something. Not the people who are saying proactively ahead of time. And we got to start looking to people that are ahead of the curve, just like Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy. You may not like him, but I got to tell you, the freaking guy, he reminds me a lot of Elon. He does. He's
smart dude.
He's out there.
He's sharp and he's on point. All right, Mr. Lowry, what else do we have to talk about tonight?
So wrapping this up, next week is going to be hard. There's going to be a lot happening. You're going to have, I think there's going to be some activity with the Charter Commission next week.
Okay.
We will see. And, but the problem with all that is that, if I am correct, I'm not going to be here with you.
Oh, that's right. You have a convention thing to go to, right?
I think that's right. I think that's next week.
So while you're looking that up, I'm going to put this comment up. Says, I hope you don't mind me asking what happened to the signatures that y'all came door to door soliciting a couple of years ago, because I remember signing it. Well, unfortunately, and we've covered it ad nauseum, so I won't belabor the point here tonight, but unfortunately, the city filed suit to try to block that, and they were successful. Rather than appealing that decision, the Bossier Term Limits Coalition decided to get together and just get more signatures and make sure that the year of birth was explicitly on the petition this time. And so that's what happened to it.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. The good old boys fought us, and they were able to beat us. And, I might have been a little critical of the judge during that time about, only because I wanted the other outcome, but he took a strict interpretation of the law. He probably was right. And I have to tell you, given that we've done the petition again now, I think even if he had to hear this again, I don't know that he would be as friendly as he was that time. Not that he was friendly. I'm just going to shut up because
Well,
just
look, it's okay. We piss off
butchering
everybody
it.
else. We may as well piss off the judges too. I mean, I call out the 26 JDC all the time.
Yeah, but hey, no, I'm not going to be here. So I'm going to be away, a long way away, like 14 hours away, at a Republican National Convention, and
Yeah, that should be interesting.
a lot of folks may not realize this, but I did get elected to be, and I don't advertise it and I don't brag about it, but I am going to a little bit on this show, whatever. But I am one of the statewide delegates at the national convention. And to give you a little bit of a taste of kind of what happens at these, in the bottom of our notes, I've got 2 links. It might be better for you to pull them up to show.
Yeah, give me just a second here. I was asleep at the trigger over here.
And you
Let's
never
see.
know, who all you're going to see and who all you're going to talk to. And Rex and I, to all of y'all, Rex and I have talked about this in depth, and we're going to try our best to share as much as possible out on this. I kind of somewhat did this in the past with another friend of mine named Ronnie Ramirez, and I'll show you a short clip of that. But this was in 2016 when Trump was, became the nominee the first time. And, Facebook Lives was just getting started, and we were kind of having some fun with it. And just walking around on the convention floor, you never know who you're going to run into. And some of you may not recognize this guy right here, but just hit play and we'll go from there.
We on right now?
Yeah.
All right, hey, listen.
All right, guys. Hey, ran into the general here, and he was kind enough to give us a shout out. Told him that from the Louisiana delegation, and told him home of Barksdale Air Force Base.
Shreveport, Bossier City. I used to go up there all the time. What is that? Route 2 coming up from Fort Polk. I lived at Fort Polk for 2 years. I lived down here at Snake Central. I write about it in my book, actually. And I used to go fishing out of Toledo Bend Basin. I had an awesome time at Fort Polk in Louisiana. And my wife and I used to take our kids up to Barksdale, hang around up there. We'd go out into Shreveport, grab dinner or something like that, and just have a fun time. And you guys have a wonderful community down there, down in Shreveport, Bossier City. And it's a really very historic place. So really cool. And vote. Get out and vote. This is not a time that you can sit this one out, folks. If you're voting age, you get out and you vote for Donald Trump.
General, on behalf of Bossier and Louisiana, I just want to say thank you for your service, and thank you even more for coming out and taking a role.
Absolutely. And for the folks down in Fort Polk, Louisiana, if any of you have been down here, going down here, let them know that's a great military installation down here, as well as Barksdale. So thanks very much.
Thank you, General.
Outstanding.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Ha, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, so see, I was doing amateur journalism stuff a little bit, kind of winging it.
Who knew that would evolve into this?
But that guy right there, General Flynn, at that time, he had not. Wait a minute. Let me back up. He was already important at that moment, right? I had no idea. I did know he was significant, but I didn't know how significant. And what y'all need to know is that guy was a Democrat. He was not a Republican. He may be registered Republican now, but he was a Democrat, and he was at the Republican convention, which I did know that at the time, and I thought it was odd. But what I knew was his role in as the military guy with the NSA and all that spook information and stuff. He was. I didn't know how significant his background was because he served under Obama. And then they went after him because he started shutting down the access to information or something along those lines, and got paired up with Trump. And then they really went after him, especially after Trump named him to his cabinet. And that's when they tried to cut his legs out from under him. And there's a lot of rumors and some speculation that he is a VP consideration. I don't know if that'll happen. I mean, you got to ask the question, is there anybody that would really bring anything to the ticket to make anybody vote for Trump that they wouldn't
No,
already?
I don't think so. He just needs somebody to balance out the ticket. That's all. It's not
Yeah.
that the VP choice is going to bring anybody to the polls for Trump that's not already going to vote for Trump. That's my feeling anyway.
Well, the thought on Flynn is that he knows where the bodies are buried, and he knows how to go after the deep state, to try to purge them. And anyway, this is another just short clip this is another short clip of me and Ronnie, and this was actually
looks like you're taking on the role of Steve Irwin.
Well, I got to tell you this story. This was in 2012, going to that national convention, and some of you may remember this, some of you may not. Going into that one, and I'm not going to say well, see, I was fixing to cuss, and I'm not going to do it, but I'm not going to say who the presidential nominee was that year that I voted for. But I got an excuse, and I'll give it to everybody of why I did it. But in 2012, we made this short little video, and we were doing a few at this convention. Play this old school clip. Hey, good morning, Shreveport and Bossier. This is Duke Lowry with my good friend Ronnie Ramirez, and we just wanted to let y'all all know that we're getting ready to go to Cleveland to the RNC National Convention. We're both delegates, and we went to the Republican Convention in 2012 in Tampa, Florida, and we thought this time around we wanted to kind of share the experience with everybody. So we're doing this video to kind of prompt everybody and give them heads up to follow us on this deal, and we're going to try to give you some inside shots of what goes on at the convention.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see everything from the paid protesters, the protesters that really have it in their heart to be there, and as well as the 10,000 bikers that are said to be there. You know, the last time they had the RNC in Cleveland was, I believe it was 1936, which is considered to be, that presidential election was considered to be one of the worst bloodbaths in history. You know, the Democrat prevailed over 60%, which typically doesn't happen in a presidential election. So, but maybe Trump can come out this time 60-40. That sure would be nice. But anyway, I think it's going to be interesting, and I think there's going to be plenty to talk about throughout this this convention. And we have about 4 hours up with a little fuel stop in Kentucky, and it's hopefully a little cooler up there. So we'll see everybody probably later on this evening.
All right, guys, be safe and follow our live feed. There's a spot to where you can click on a tab, and it'll give you a
no.
We're
not
next time.
no,
Otherwise, just watch our Facebook pages and get ready.
I swear that's going to be a Bossier Watch ad.
I don't know. We might have to get Ronnie's permission. I don't know. But, I mean, look, so, you know, we were trying to kind of do somewhat of what we're doing now, you know, more seriously. We were trying to kind of go there back then. And actually, I've got a bunch of videos of different people. The governor of Hawaii, you know, I've got a video of the governor of Hawaii and several different people, a lot of them. And so I'm going to try to do that again. Hopefully I can get some live. We're going to have to test connectivity when we get there. And if it works good, you know, maybe we take some questions from the audience while we're doing the live show.
We can absolutely make it happen. It's all going to depend on your connection there. So we'll have to see, but we'll definitely try it. All right. What else, Mr. Lauer? What else, folks? I mean, we still got 85, 90 people watching, something like that. What else? I mean, it's been kind of a slow week, honestly, with the exception of the petitions.
Yeah, it has been slow. There's a lot of stuff happening in the background, but nothing ready to be put out there in the public just yet.
Yeah, I know. I'm biting my lip begrudgingly.
Sorry.
Timing is everything. So, All right, Mr. Lowry, it has been another good show. Hope you folks got to see a little bit behind the scenes of the petitions, kinda. I would encourage everybody, when you click off of the show here, go over to Bossier Term Limits on Facebook and on the YouTube channel, and like and follow on Facebook and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've really only got about 2 videos, but I plan on doing some shorts and reels and all that sort of thing. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and of course, make sure you go to our YouTube channel on Bossier Watch and hit that darn subscribe button. We are so close to having 500 subscribers on the YouTube side of things. So that's pretty cool. And don't forget our Proton Mail spill. If you've got some information you want to share with us, make you a free protonmail.com account. Don't put any identifying information in it, and shoot us an email to bossierwatch@gmail.com or bossierwatch@protonmail.com, because we do read those.
Okay, lots of questions, but one I want to address. It said Mitt Romney ? Okay, Tony Perkins was sitting right to my left, and I was sitting there. I had the nomination in my hand, the paper, and I had my pen in hand, and I looked left, and Tony Perkins sitting right beside me, and I looked at Tony, and he looked at me, and I said, "I'm not signing mine until I see you sign yours, and you put it down there. And if you put it down there, then I will." Tony Perkins put it down there, so I did. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it.
All right. D.D. White Clark says, see y'all next Tuesday. We do have a couple of questions. What's being built next to Red Rover? I should know that because Red Rover is literally right down the street from me. But I haven't been that way in a little bit to see what's being built next to Red Rover. Good question. I'll try to find out, Larry James. And also, what is the latest on Red Rover? Are they trying to settle that deal, or do we have any? I hadn't talked to my neighbor in a while.
Yeah, that's what I understand from a source is that the city has been trying to negotiate a settlement in that gig, but I don't know if it's going to go that way or not.
We'll see. All right. Anything else?
Have a good night.
We're out of here.
That's all I got. See you. Bye. Adios. Bon voyage.